In this video, I want to show you how to enter interval notation in the online homework system. So I have a problem here, and the problem says to find the domain, and it's f of x equals square root of negative 2x minus 5. So over to the right, I show what I would have done to do this problem. I know that the domain of a square root means the radicand, the part underneath the square root, has to be greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, it would give me imaginary results, and we're going to be sticking with real number results for this unit. So I set that radicand, the part under the square root, greater than or equal to 0. And then I solve it algebraically. Remember, if you do end up multiplying or dividing both sides of an inequality by a negative, like we do here, you have to change the direction of the inequality. That's a rule from the past that you need to remember if this happens. So I get that x has to be less than or equal to negative 5/2. If I was doing that on a number line, I'd have like a solid circle, negative 5/2 is included, and everything going down to the left. So interval notation, we always start with all the way the farthest left answers that we get. In this case, it goes all the way down to negative infinity. When we talk about negative or positive infinity, we always have this open parentheses. Then we put a comma, and it goes all the way up to negative 5/2, and it includes negative 5/2. So because of the equals in the inclusion, I have a square bracket on the right. So let's look at how we'd put that in to the answer over on WAMAP. When I click in the answer box, it brings up what I usually see, but also I see this word interval. So I'm going to go over and click on that, and it lets me choose the type of interval notation I want. Both are open parentheses, or both are closed brackets, or one of each. So I had a open parentheses and then a closed bracket, so I'm going to choose this option. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to put my answers in. It started at negative infinity, and that's one of my choices. Then I put a comma. And now I want to put the fraction negative 5/2. So I don't see the fraction here, but I can go back to basic and choose the fraction and put in my negative 5/2. And then I can submit. It looks good. I can look at the key to see that indeed that's the same thing they wrote. They put the negative right out in front. I could have done that. But either way, the negative on top or in front is the same. I want to just show you if this problem had had the fraction first, which it didn't, but let's just pretend I had one that the fraction was first. So if I was writing a fraction, and let's say the fraction was 1/2, and then I wanted to put comma, and in fact I'm gonna say, what if my answer was going from 1/2 up to positive infinity? So if I had that kind of answer, and let's say it was starting at 1/2, and I put in the fraction 1/2. If I tried to put a comma in right now, if I hit a comma, notice how the comma is actually in the bottom of the fraction. That's not what I want, because I want the comma to separate 1/2 with my next value. So I'm going to backspace and delete it. So there's arrow keys that you can either click on here or on your keyboard. And I'd need to use my arrow key, my right arrow key, to move up. That puts me in line with the fraction bar. Then I can put the comma, and then in this case I was saying maybe it was going up to infinity. So make sure you might need to use these arrow keys if you have to move from like the denominator of a fraction to put a comma between things. Okay, I'm not going to submit that. Well, I can, but it will be wrong, but I already got it right. If I submit it again, I got it wrong. I didn't lose my point though, because I already had the answer correct. Let's look at this second example. This one has p plus 4 over p plus 4. So to find the domain, if I have a fraction, I know the denominator cannot equal 0. So I set it up and I solve it, so I know p cannot equal negative 4. So if I was looking at a number line, there'd be like an open circle at negative 4, and p could be anything below it or above it. So two parts to the answer. I can go all the way from negative infinity up to negative 4, not including, so open parentheses. And I put the union symbol, and then I can start again at negative 4 and go up to infinity. So let's put that in as our answer. So again, it's interval notation. I'm going to hit that. I want just open parentheses, and I can choose this negative infinity, comma, -4, and then I click outside of the parentheses and choose my union symbol. Then a new set, starting up again at -4, comma, going to infinity. And then I can hit submit, and I can look at that to see the same answer. So you might have to play around a little to get used to it, but I hope that is a good start for you.